Whenever I talk to people in films that are credited as producer, I always ask them what it is they do, and I get a lot of different answers. So clear up for me, what's the difference between a producer, a line producer, and like a production executive?
Well, I'm very active, or it's hard to be very active when I'm here with the Producers Guild of America, and one of the main goals of the Producers Guild is to define producer credits so that it does actually represent something. Because when you say makeup artist, you know what they do. When you say a grip or a gaffer or production designer, there's a defined role as to what they do. In the producer ranks, anyone can be a producer. You don't need a degree. In fact, in my course, there are two. There's a question: do you have to have any kind of degree or permit or pass any tests or do anything to be a producer? And the answer is no. But every other position except for PA, production assistant, you have to pass some kind of either safety, or in the case of makeup, there's all kinds of state laws and stuff, but not as a producer. Mm-hmm. What complicated things was back a number of years ago, the Weinsteins, was the Shakespeare in Love. That film, when it was nominated, there were 8 or 10 producers. So when it won, then all of a sudden there were 8 producers on the stage.
Yeah.
Right? And so what happened from that is that the Academy said enough. So they made a rule that I think it was only 3 people could be producers, which isn't fair either, but trying to limit it. Because in independent filmmaking, a lot of times you're trying to raise money. You'll promise somebody a producer credit for money or for anything, whatever. Just give it to me, I'll give you a credit.
Yeah.
So that's one reason there are a lot of producer credits that don't mean anything. So the Producers Guild came along and started working first with the TV Academy, and so that the Producers Guild could be the arbitrator for credit. Determining who really are the producers, and it was very very successful with the TV Academy. And so about 2 years ago, the Motion Picture Academy agreed that the Producers Guild would vet all the producers and determine so they don't have a limit. There shouldn't be a limit, but for there to be more than 4 producers, I don't know what they do. So there's a long list of what a producer does during development, pre-production, production, post-production, and distribution. And so it's very difficult for more than 3 or 4 people to accomplish all those tasks. To spread all that out. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's helped a lot as far as helping to define what a producer is. So there's no simple answer. Really, they could be anybody, anything.
Yeah.
But it should be that a producer is the person, the main producer, developing producer, would be the person that, like with David Putnam with certain projects, the one that he won the Academy Award for, that read an article in a newspaper, has the idea, gets the rights from the people, finds a screenwriter, either pays the screenwriter or gets someone to pay the screenwriter, or sells it to a studio and the studio pays, or whatever, takes it through there, then gets the green light or finds the money, and then puts together the department, the director, the actors, etc., then choose a location and off you go and oversees it through the end.
Okay.
That's a pure producer. But they're also, what I often do is sort of a hired gun producer. Sometimes they're called line producers. There are 2 types. One is a creative line producer, which I am, and then there's sort of a nuts and bolts line producer, where what's happened since the time of the Academy Award situation is a lot of studio executives, especially in some of these independent companies, they want to be credited as producers so they can get that Academy Award. Mm-hmm. So they never leave their office, but they get the producer credit. However, a lot of them do get the money. They do put find the lead actor, etc. So they deserve it, but they never come to the set. I've done a number of movies where I'm the only producer there. So it really should be the people that are heavily involved in the making of the film, from development through to delivery. But in the case of Fast and the Furious, the film was over budget. They were in trouble. They had been shooting a week. A good friend of mine was a production executive at Universal. Another good friend of mine was the line producer on the film. And so the studio wanted to fire everybody. So Cool Martyr at the studio called and asked me if I'd go in and figure it all out and fire whoever I needed to fire and just sort of take it over from that producing side. And I said, I don't want to do that. But then my friend, Claiborne, said, it was line producing, and said, please come in. And so I said, fine, they paid my rate. So I came in. And it's about assessing the situation, determining what needs to be done from 30 years of experience. So you can kind of sense it. And in the end, we didn't fire anybody and so forth and so on.